I was 10 years old when I found a king dying in the snow. I didn't know he was a king then. To me, he was just meat that was still breathing. The blizzard had been screaming for 3 days, not howling, screaming, like a woman watching her children burn. The kind of sound that crawls into your skull and nests there. The kind of sound that makes you forget you were ever warm. I hadn't eaten in 6 days. My fingers were black at the tips. Frostbite. I knew what came next. First the black, then the smell, then the falling off. I was going to die in that forest. I had made peace with it, but then I saw him, pinned to a tree like a crucified god. 3 silver spears through his chest, 1 through his shoulder. His blood had frozen in rivers down the bark, black and red and wrong. His fur, because yes, he had fur, my patches of it across his shoulders and arms, was singed and smoking where the silver touched. The smell hit me before my eyes understood what they were seeing. Burnt hair, copper, something rotten beneath. He was massive, even slumped and broken. He was the largest thing I had ever seen that wasn't a building. His jaw was wrong, too long, too many teeth. His hands, claws, really, hung limp at his sides, each finger the length of my forearm. A monster, a real one, the kind the village women whispered about, the kind the collectors said would eat children like me if we didn't behave. I should have run. But here's the thing about starvation. It makes you stupid, and it makes you brave, because when you're already dead, what's left to fear? Someone told me this story wouldn't even get 200 likes. They said it was too dark, too different.
Prove them wrong. Drop your country flag in the comments. Let me see where you're listening from tonight. Now, where was I?
The monster's eyes were closed. His chest was still moving, barely. A wheeze that sounded like wind through a cracked window. I crept closer. The snow crunched under my boots, if you could call them boots. Rags wrapped around rags, stuffed with dead leaves. My feet had stopped hurting 2 days ago. That was bad. I knew it was bad, but I couldn't think about that now. I was thinking about the bread, the last piece, moldy, hard as stone. I had been saving it, rationing crumbs, licking my palm after each tiny bite to catch the dust. I pulled it from inside my coat. The monster's eyes opened. Gold, not yellow, not amber. Gold, like coins, like fire, like something that had seen empires rise and fall and didn't care about any of it. He looked at me. I did not run. "You're dying," I said. My voice came out wrong, cracked. I hadn't spoken in weeks. There was no one to speak to. He didn't answer. His breath rattled. Blood bubbled at the corner of his lips. I looked at the spears. Silver. I knew what silver did to things like him. The collectors talked about it. They hunted things like him. They sold the parts. I looked back at his eyes. Still gold. Still watching. "I'm dying too," I said. I held up the bread. "But I'm not dead yet, and neither are you." I stepped closer. Close enough to smell the rot beneath the blood. Close enough to see the silver eating into his flesh like acid. I held the bread to his lips. "Eat," I said. He didn't move. "Eat," I said again. "And then you owe me." His eyes flickered. Something moved behind them. Confusion, maybe, or curiosity. I pressed the bread against his mouth. "You're my father now," I said. Because I'm tired of being alone. And you look like you're good at killing things." The wind screamed. The snow fell. And the monster opened his mouth and took the bread from my frozen fingers. The contract was sealed. Pulling the spears out nearly killed us both. Him from the pain, me from the stupidity of trying. The first one came out with a sound I will never forget. Wet. Sucking. Like the tree didn't want to let him go. His whole body convulsed. A roar ripped from his throat. Not human, not animal, something older, and I stumbled backward, sure he was going to kill me. He didn't. He just bled. Black blood, thick as tar, steaming in the cold. "More!" he growled. His voice was like gravel in a meat grinder. It hurt to hear. I grabbed the second spear. This is going to hurt. I know what pain is, rat. Rat. He thought I was a rat. Good. Rats survive. I pulled. He screamed again. The sound shook snow from the branches above. I felt it in my teeth, in my bones. The third spear was the worst. It had gone through something important. When I pulled it out, something came with it. Something purple and glistening. I didn't look too closely. He collapsed. For a moment, I thought he was dead. I thought I had killed him. I thought I had wasted my last breath on a corpse. Then his chest moved. Barely. But it moved. The cave was 2 miles east. I knew it because I had slept there before. Twice. Before the collectors got too close and I had to move deeper into the forest. Dragging him there took 4 hours. 4 hours through knee-deep snow. 4 hours with the wind trying to rip the skin from my face. 4 hours with his massive body leaving a trail of black blood that the blizzard slowly erased. He drifted in and out. Sometimes he growled. Sometimes he said words I didn't understand. Old words, sharp and guttural. Once, he grabbed my wrist. His grip was weak, weaker than a child's, weaker than mine, but his claws still broke the skin. "Who?" he rasped. "Who are you?" "I'm the thing keeping you alive," I said. "So let go of my arm before I leave you here for the wolves." He let go, his eyes closed. I kept dragging. The cave was small, dark. It smelled like animal droppings and mold. It was the most beautiful place I had ever seen. I pulled him inside. I couldn't lift him, so I rolled him inch by inch until he was far enough from the entrance that the wind couldn't reach him. Then I collapsed beside him. My body was finished. Every muscle screamed. My lungs burned. The black on my fingers had spread. I looked at him, still breathing, still bleeding, but slower now. The wounds were closing. I could see it. The flesh knitting itself together like worms crawling under his skin. Monster. My monster. I closed my eyes. I woke to the sound of something moving. My hand went to my knife, a rusty thing I had stolen from a dead trapper 2 winters ago, and I pressed myself against the cave wall. The monster was sitting up. His eyes were open, gold burning in the darkness, watching me. "You're awake," I said. "You sound disappointed." His voice was stronger, still gravel, but stronger. "I'm surprised. I thought the silver would kill you." "It almost did." He looked down at his chest. The wounds were still there, raw and angry, but sealed. "Where are the spears?" "Outside. I buried them in the snow." Smart. It wasn't a compliment. It was an observation, like he was cataloging information about a strange insect. "Where are we?" he asked. "A cave 2 miles from where I found you." "You dragged me 2 miles." "Yes." "You're smaller than a dog. Dogs are weak." He stared at me. I stared back. I would not blink first. I would not show fear. Fear was a luxury for children who had parents. I hadn't been a child in years. "What's your name, rat?" "What's yours?" His lips curled, not a smile, something meaner. I asked first,
And I saved your life, so I get to make the rules. Silence. The wind howled outside. The cave was dark except for the faint glow of his eyes. Then he laughed. It was an awful sound, like bones breaking, like something that had forgotten how joy was supposed to feel. Vallis, he said. My name is Vallis. Barbara? Barbara. He said it slowly, tasting it. That's a strange name for a boy. I didn't correct him. I just pulled my coat tighter and closed my eyes. The next 3 days were hell. Vallis needed food, real food, meat. I hunted, if you could call it hunting. I set traps, snares made from strips of my own clothing, deadfalls built from rocks and branches. I caught 2 rabbits, 1 squirrel, a crow that was too frozen to fly away. I brought them back to the cave. Vallis ate them raw. I tried not to watch. The sounds were wet, crunching, tearing. I ate the scraps, the parts he didn't want. Frozen gristle, sinew, the eyes. You learn not to be picky when you're starving. On the 4th night, I made a fire. It was stupid, dangerous. Smoke meant attention. Attention meant collectors. But I was so cold. My fingers wouldn't stop shaking. My toes were numb. I couldn't feel my face anymore. I needed warmth, or I was going to die. Vallis watched me build the fire. He didn't help. He couldn't. His body was still healing. The silver had done something to him, slowed him down, made him weak. But he watched. You're efficient, he said. I'm alive. For now. I looked at him through the flames. Are you threatening me? No. His eyes glittered. I'm observing. You move like something hunted. You sleep with one eye open. You eat like each meal is your last. Maybe it is. Who taught you to survive like this? No one. That was the answer. No one taught me. I taught myself. Through pain, through hunger, through watching others die and refusing to follow them. But I didn't say that. I just fed another stick to the fire. On the 5th night, everything changed. I was stitching my coat. The seams had torn during the dragging. I only had 1 needle, a fishbone I had sharpened on a rock, and thread I had made from rabbit sinew. I worked by firelight. Vallis was watching. He always watched. Like I was a puzzle he was trying to solve. I didn't notice his eyes narrow. I didn't notice the way his nostrils flared. Not until he spoke. Take off your coat. I froze. What? Your coat. Take it off. No. That wasn't a request. I reached for my knife. His hand shot out, faster than I thought possible, and grabbed my wrist. Not hard, but firm, unbreakable. I'm not going to hurt you, Rat. I want to see your shoulder. My shoulder. The wound. 3 weeks ago, a collector had grabbed me. His fingers had dug in deep. The cut had gotten infected. I had been draining it myself, pressing out the pus, hoping it wouldn't spread. How did he know? I can smell it, he said, answering the question I hadn't asked. Infection. Rot. You've been hiding it. It's fine. It's going to kill you. So will a lot of things. He didn't let go of my wrist. Take off the coat. I could have fought, could have bitten and scratched and screamed. But what was the point? If he wanted me dead, I was already dead. I pulled off my coat. The cold hit me like a hammer. I was wearing almost nothing underneath. Rags wrapped around my chest, bound tight to flatten what little I had. Vallis went very still. You're not a boy. It wasn't a question. I didn't answer. His eyes moved from my face to my shoulder, where the wound was oozing through the bandages, and then back to my face. You bound yourself. Boys survive longer on the street. Girls get, taken. Something passed through his eyes. Something dark. something that looked almost like rage. The collectors? Yes. He released my wrist. Come here. Why? Because I'm going to clean that wound before it kills you. And because you saved my life, Barbara. I pay my debts. I didn't move. I'm not going to hurt you, he said again, softer this time. You're a child, a girl, and despite what the world has told you, that is not a weakness. The world told me it was. The world is full of cowards and liars. His eyes burned. I am neither. I moved closer. He cleaned the wound with snow and saliva. His saliva, which he said had healing properties. It stung like fire. I didn't make a sound. When he was done, he looked at me. You've survived things that would break most soldiers, most warriors, most men. I'm not a man. No. His voice was strange, almost soft. You're something better. You're a survivor. The fire crackled. The wind howled. And for the first time in 5 years, I felt something other than cold. We left the cave on the 7th day. Vallis was strong enough to walk. Not fully healed. I could see it in the way he favored his left side, the way his breathing hitched when he moved too fast. But strong enough. Strong enough to travel. Strong enough to kill. Where are we going? I asked. Home. Where's home? He looked at me. Gold eyes, ancient eyes. The capital of the Lycan kingdom. Thornwall. Lycan. I knew that word. The old women in my village used to whisper it. Monsters, wolfmen, beasts that walked on 2 legs and ate children whole. You're a Lycan. I'm the Lycan, the king. He said it without pride, without boasting, like it was simply a fact, like saying the sky was blue or the snow was cold. Or I was, before my brothers drove 3 silver spears through my chest and left me for dead. Brothers. Your own blood did this to you? Blood means nothing to those who hunger for power. I understood that. Blood had meant nothing to my parents either. They had sold me to the collectors when I was 5. For 3 copper coins and a bag of grain. I had escaped. They had not come looking. Will they come for you? I asked. Your brothers? They already have. He lifted his head. His nostrils flared. I can smell them. 3 miles north, 6 hunters, armed with silver. My blood went cold. They're tracking us? They're tracking me. They want to make sure I'm dead. His lips pulled back from his teeth. They're going to be disappointed. We moved fast, or as fast as we could through waist-deep snow and frozen forest. Vallis broke the path. I followed in his footsteps. My legs burned. My lungs screamed, but I didn't stop. Stopping meant dying. I was very good at not dying. You're quiet, Vallis said. Talking wastes energy. It also builds trust. Trust is a luxury. He glanced back at me. Something flickered in his eyes. Amusement, maybe, or respect. Who hurt you, Barbara? Everyone. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. We walked in silence after that. The hunters found us at dusk. I smelled them before I saw them. Sweat, metal. Something chemical and sharp. Silver polish, maybe. Vallis stopped. Get behind me. I can fight. I know you can, but this isn't your fight. You're not healed. I don't need to be healed. His voice dropped. Lower, darker. I need to be angry. The first hunter came through the trees. He was tall, armored in black leather. He carried a crossbow loaded with silver bolts. He saw Vallis. He smiled. Found you, cousin. Lord Gregor will be pleased. Gregor. Vallis said the name like it tasted rotten. My beloved brother, still too cowardly to do his own killing. Cowardly? The hunter laughed. He put 3 spears through your chest. He watched you hang. And yet here I am. Not for long. He raised the crossbow. Vallis moved. I had never seen anything like it. One moment he was standing still. The next, he was across the clearing, his claws buried in the hunter's throat. The man didn't even have time to scream. He just gurgled. And then he was on the ground, his blood steaming in the snow. The other hunters charged, 5 of them, all armed, all screaming. Vallis tore through them like paper. He wasn't a man anymore. He was something else, something primal. His body shifted, bones cracking, fur sprouting, teeth elongating, until he was half man, half wolf, all nightmare. I watched him kill. I should have been afraid. I wasn't. I was fascinated. But he wasn't fast enough. One hunter got past him, saw me, decided I was an easier target. He ran at me with a silver knife. I didn't run. I dropped to my knees. The tripwire I had set 2 hours ago caught his ankle. He went down hard, face first into the snow. I was on him before he could rise. My fishbone needle went into his eye. Deep, deeper. He screamed. He stopped screaming. When I looked up, Vallis was standing over me. The other hunters were dead. He was covered in blood, his and theirs, and breathing hard. He looked at the man beneath me. He looked at the needle in my hand. You killed him. He was going to kill me. With a fishbone. It's what I had. Silence. Then Vallis did something I never expected. He knelt. He knelt in the snow and the blood, and he looked me in the eye. I underestimated you. Everyone does. I won't make that mistake again. He held out his hand. Come. We have a long walk ahead. And when we reach Thornwall, I'm going to show them what underestimating feels like. I took his hand. His claws were still out, still bloody. I didn't care. For the first time in my life, I had a protector. And he had teeth. The journey took 2 weeks. We walked through frozen forests and dead villages. We crossed rivers that tried to pull us under, and mountains that tried to bury us. We slept in caves and ruins, and once, in the hollowed corpse of a giant elk. Vallis taught me things. How to scent danger before it arrived. How to read tracks in the snow. How to move without sound. How to kill without hesitation. You're a natural, he said one night. Most warriors take years to learn what you've learned in days. I've been learning my whole life. I just didn't know it. He looked at me across the fire. What do you want, Barbara, when this is over? When I reclaim my throne? What do you want? No one had ever asked me that. No one had ever cared. I stopped, thought. I want to never be hungry again. I want a room with a door that locks. I want people to look at me and see something other than prey. That's all? It's everything. He nodded slowly. Then that's what you'll have. A room, a door, food until you're sick of it. His eyes gleamed. And anyone who looks at you as prey will answer to me. I believed him. I didn't know why, but I believed him. We reached the capital on the 16th day, Thornwall. It rose from the frozen earth like a black fang. Towers and walls and gates of iron. Smoke rising from 1,000 chimneys. The sound of life, voices, hammers, bells, drifting over the snow. I had never seen anything so big, so terrifying. This is home? I whispered. This is home? It looks like it wants to eat me. It does. Vallis smiled, that broken bone smile. But it won't, because you're with me, and I eat back. The gates didn't open for us.
They opened against us. 50 soldiers poured out, silver armor, silver swords. They formed a wall between Vallis and the entrance. A man stepped forward. He was tall, handsome in a cruel way. He wore a crown of black iron on his head and a cloak of white fur on his shoulders. Gregor. I knew it without being told. He had Vallis's jaw, Vallis's height. But where Vallis's eyes were gold, Gregor's were pale, washed out, empty. Brother. Gregor's voice carried across the snow. You're supposed to be dead. I get that a lot. You should have stayed in the woods, should have crawled into a hole and died like the animal you are. Vallis didn't respond. He just walked forward. The soldiers raised their weapons. Vallis kept walking. You put 3 spears through my chest, he said. You left me to rot. You stole my throne, my kingdom, my name. He stopped 10 feet from Gregor. And now you're going to give it all back. Gregor laughed. Give it back? Look around you, brother. I have an army. You have... He looked at me. His lip curled. What is that? A beggar child? A street rat? She's not a rat. Then what is she? Vallis turned to me. His eyes were soft, softer than I had ever seen them. She's my heir. The silence that followed was absolute. Gregor stared. The soldiers stared. Even I stared. Your heir? Gregor's voice cracked. You can't be serious. She's a human child, a nothing. She saved my life. Vallis's voice cut through the air like a blade. When I was dying, she gave me her last food. When I was bleeding, she dragged me to safety. When I was hunted, she killed a man with a fishbone. He looked at Gregor. What have you ever done but scheme and betray? I took your throne, and now I'm taking it back. Vallis moved. It happened so fast that I barely saw it. One moment he was standing still. The next, Gregor was on his knees, Vallis's claws at his throat. The soldiers surged forward. Vallis pressed harder. Blood trickled down Gregor's neck. One more step, Vallis said calmly, and your king dies. They stopped. He's not our king, someone muttered. You are. It started as a whisper, then grew, spread through the ranks like fire. Vallis. The true king. He's returned. Long live King Vallis. Gregor's face went white. You can't do this. They swore loyalty to me. They swore loyalty to the crown. Vallis's claws tightened. Not to the thief who wore it. He looked at the soldiers. I give you a choice. Kneel to your true king, or die beside the false one. One by one, they knelt. First 10, then 20, then all of them. Until only Gregor remained standing. Kneeling, rather, with claws at his throat. What will you do with me? Gregor whispered. Kill me? No. Vallis released him, stepped back. Death is too easy. You're going to live. You're going to watch as I rebuild everything you destroyed. You're going to watch as this beggar child becomes more powerful than you ever dreamed of being. He smiled. And you're going to know every single day that you lost to a king who was saved by a 10-year-old girl. He turned away, held out his hand to me. Come, Barbara. Let me show you your new home. The throne room was vast. Black stone, iron chandeliers, and a throne carved from a single massive bone, the skull of some ancient beast, hollowed out and polished. Vallis walked to it. He didn't sit. He turned and looked at me. Come here. I walked across the stone floor. My footsteps echoed. Every eye in the room was on me. Advisors, generals, nobles. They all stared at the dirty, ragged girl walking toward their king. I reached the throne. Vallis put his hand on my shoulder. This is Barbara, he announced. She is my heir.
My daughter in all ways that matter. Anyone who threatens her, disrespects her, or harms her will answer to me personally." His eyes swept the room. "Is that understood?" Silence. Then, one by one, they knelt. Lords and ladies, warriors and scholars, all of them, kneeling to a starving girl who had eaten crow eyes to survive. I didn't cry. I hadn't cried in years. But something cracked inside me. Something hard and frozen and old. Vallis looked down at me. "You wanted a room with a door that locks." "Yes." "You wanted food until you're sick of it." "Yes." "You wanted people to see you as something other than prey." I looked at the kneeling crowd. At the throne, at the man, the monster, who had become my father. "Yes." "Then welcome home, Barbara." He smiled, that broken bones smile that had become familiar, that had become safe. "Welcome home." I stood on the balcony that night. Below me, the city sparkled. Torches and candles and the warm glow of hearths. People moving through streets, children laughing. I had never seen anything like it. Behind me, my room waited. A real room, with a bed and blankets and a door that locked. I had checked the lock 7 times. It worked every time. There was food on the table. More food than I could eat in a week. Bread that wasn't moldy. Meat that wasn't frozen. Fruit I didn't even have names for. I ate until my stomach hurt. Then I ate more. Vallis found me on the balcony. He didn't say anything. He just stood beside me, looking out at the city that was his. That was ours. "I have a question," I said. "Ask." "Why me? You're a king. You could have any heir you wanted. Someone strong, someone noble, someone who isn't—" I gestured at myself. "This." He was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke. "When I was dying in that snow, I had given up. Not on life, on everything. On loyalty, on trust. On the idea that anyone in this world would help another creature without expecting something in return." He looked at me. "Then you came, a starving child with nothing but a piece of moldy bread, and you gave it to me. I wanted something in return. Yes, protection, a father, someone to keep you safe." He smiled. "But that's not greed, Barbara. That's honesty. You didn't pretend to be noble or selfless. You told me exactly what you wanted and why. Do you know how rare that is? In courts and councils full of liars, you were the only one who told the truth." I didn't know what to say. So I said nothing. "The world taught you to fear the dark," Vallis said quietly. "To hide from monsters, to run from things with teeth." He put his hand on my shoulder. "But you don't have to run anymore. Because now, you are the thing with teeth. And I will teach you how to use them." I looked at him. My father. My monster. My king. "The world taught me to fear the dark," I repeated. "But now, I am the thing that lives in it." "And what am I?" I smiled, for the first time in years. I smiled. "You're the king of it, and that is where the story ends. For now. Barbara's journey is just beginning. The enemies are gathering. The secrets are unfolding. And the bond between a starving orphan and a dying king is about to be tested in ways neither of them can imagine. If this story kept you here until the end, you're part of the pack now. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and drop a comment below telling me, should Barbara learn to fight or learn to rule? Because the next chapter is going to change everything.